Welcome, everyone. My name is Platon Isaias. I am the program head of Projective Cities MPhil in Architecture and Urban Design at EAA. I'm incredibly happy and excited to be hosting Cierto Estudio in this last public lecture that our program is organizing for this academic year. The lecture today, titled Domesticity from the Floor Plan, will go through Cierto's work and methodology, focusing on aspects of dwelling design using floor plans as a common thread. Cierto Estudio are interested in designing from the floor plan, taking the inhabitant experience as a premise. The main part of the research is based on exploring new layouts that can suit today's needs and ways of inhabitation. With their work, they have also strived for the spatial potential of the plan, seeking for open visuals, connections, and filter spaces. In addition, they believe in the richness of creating a community between the neighbors, and architecture should enhance this sort of relationships. Cierto Studio is a team of 6 young female architects working on a wide range of projects, from collective housing to urban planning, but also furniture and product design. Cierto Studio is a collective thinking practice striving for a unique and innovative character in their architecture. They're based in Barcelona, and the studio was founded in 2014 by Marta Benedicto, Ivet Gasol, Carlota de Gispert, Llonch, Lucia, Millet, and Vidal, after studying architecture together at ETSAB in Barcelona. And this is also where we met a few years ago when our program went to a field trip that initiated a series of collaborations in the city of Barcelona. And since then, Cierto have become a regular, almost like staff members of Projective Cities, coming very regular to review the work and see the work and lecture in our course. Just to finish, they highlight, of course, a special interest in collective housing. Their design seek typology innovation in order to respond to new ways of inhabiting in line with contemporary social trends and needs. I think this is very, very clear in their work. The practice won the first prize for the international competition for Glorious that included a master plan of a multi-use city block and the development for a social housing building. Their last project, Kids Room, has just won the first prize for a 70-dwelling block in Masnou, and their work has been selected by FAD 2020 edition in the interior design category, and they have won the prize for Best Young Architects in Catalonia. With no further delay, I just want to welcome Yvette and Anna from the practice. And yeah, again, as I said before, we're really, really happy to have you with us this evening.
Thank you, Platon, for the nice introduction. And well, especially thank you for inviting us. We are really happy to be here with you. Well, we are Yvette and Anna, and we are here to introduce the work of Cierto Estudio. We will start with a little introduction first, explaining a bit about our studio and how it's set up. And now. Well, as Platon really well explained, Cierto Estudio is a studio based in Barcelona, co-founded by Lucia Millet, Clara Vidal, Ivet Gasol, Carlota de Gispert, Marta Benedicto, and me, Anna Llonch. We all share the same background as we went to the same university here, the University of Architecture in Barcelona. And we started the practice between 2014 and 2015. So it was in the middle of the economic crisis, not the best time. And there were few opportunities, especially in the field of architecture. And many of our friends and colleagues went abroad to find opportunities. And it was also our idea first. Vale. It was also our idea first when we were at the college, but last year we decided to share space to help each other with the final project, the master project, and this sharing and collaborative experience may change our minds. And so we decided by the end of the university to stay here and start something of our own. And this, we wanted it to be based on this horizontal interaction, and we wanted to redefine also how practices were being set up at this time, finding our own organization that suited us more and our way of doing. So this is our first studio in Gracia, a really small ground floor that we refurbished, in which we spent a lot of time not only with competitions and upcoming projects, but especially discussing what was Cierto Estudio to us and where do we want to go and how to make it work. So we emerged from this idea of gathering and sharing as equals. And as we were all friends from university, it was like really natural to become a cooperative and have an horizontal structure with no hierarchy established. So the fact of being 6 partners has always brought people attention, and many people ask us, how do you make decisions or how do you organize? So to us, it's like being 6 partners, it's a way to approach more and to diversify more our projects. So our work, we work across a wide variety of projects and scales, from urbanism or housing to furniture or art installations even. So we believe we are like one figure with a lot of arms that can approach many fields. So far, we haven't worked towards specialization, and we have all a similar profile, as we have the same capacities. So anyone can take any project coming up. So no matter its nature, anyone can take an urbanism project or a refurbishment project, etc. Besides us, as I said before, it's really important to have a really strong organization, as we are 6 partners. And so we work basically in pairs, and not only inside the projects, but also for managing the studio. And to achieve equity, we try to rotate these pairs every year. So let's say every year we have 2 different people concentrated in competitions, but also 2 different people concentrated in finance or communication, etc. We also believe it's really important to have like a common language. So we spend many time meeting and organizing, and also we have common workshops to discuss specific projects that let us, that each project, even it's developed by 2 people or so, it's under all this common language of Cierto Estudio. And we also believe that as everything is discussed and we bring everything to a debate, every little step we take is like a very strong and solid decision, as it's a result of a very intense group discussion. We have found in competitions a field where we feel really free to explore and innovate. These are the 3 competitions we have won so far. The first one on the top is the one we won in 2017, Ilha Glorias. There is a housing project of 60 dwellings in Plaza Las Glorias, and we also won the master the urban plan. The second one is Kids Room. There is a 70 dwelling building in Masnou that they are both actually going to start the construction this year. And the last one is Superillas. That is a project we won this year, and we are really happy to announce that. And it's basically, it will transform the streets of Eixample in Barcelona into green access. And we will design this street in the image that is called Consell de Cent. Thanks to winning these first competitions, we could afford to move from Gracia to this studio where we are now to Poplano, that we also refurbished. And we think that these floor plans defines our work quite a lot. It's funny because we actually tried out the floor plan of one of the competitions we won, the floor plan of Gloria's, in our own studio to try in our daily life how it works and experience it with our own experience. So what was really important to us was to have four different spaces. One in the entrance, that is the kitchen, and also a dining room, because we spend many time here and we need this space to spend our spare time. And also 3 different working spaces, one for us and 2 other ones to share with other studios. And what was really important to us, it was to have a lot of flexibility in order to have more or less privacy, and also to have a generous space to meet and gather, that is this gallery where we are now, Ivet and I. So we think that the most important parts of this floor plan are this rotated intersection that allows us to have more or less privacy and relates and segregates these 4 spaces. And it's important that depending on the position of the walls, depending on if the doors are open or closed, it becomes a space itself when doors are closed, or it becomes an extension of one of the spaces when one of the doors is open. And even when all the doors are open, it becomes like a fluid space. That was what happened when we did this opening party, that everything became like a fluid, unique space. And the same happens with the gallery. We also knew that we needed to have different tables that we work in pairs usually, and to have a lot of space between us, but also to have like this big space to share this gallery room. So we are interested in this system element, these simple elements that create flexible and adaptable spaces. We also like to make reference to this hand-drawing floor plan of Caccia Dominioni as a way of explaining our work. As in the same way of the floor plan of our studio, the whole layout and the geometry of the rooms is the result of carefully studying circulation flows, visual connections, and interior openings that create an open possibility of pass-through. Rooms are carefully located in order to establish multiple connections and multiple domestic situations that could be held in the same floor plan. So the space could be adapted to the way of living of people and not otherwise. With this lecture domesticity from the floor plan, we will go through our work focusing on floor plans and their layout that can bring different domestic situations. We have divided the lecture in 5 points, and it's like 5 concepts: each rooms, perspectives, kids room, filter space, and urban community. We are going to start with X rooms. That is a concept that is the result of our reflection we made about how is society today and how has it changed during time, and how we have moved from traditional families to different cohabitation roles. But dwellings haven't changed so much, so they often don't respond to this reality. And it seems that the traditional hierarchical dwelling with a big living room, this long corridor with the big bedroom for the parents, the smaller room for the kids. It's like too rigid to respond to today's reality. And also, it's not really helping with the gender equality. While in a non-hierarchical dwelling, while we have ambiguous rooms in order to change the program really easily, we approach this flexibility that can respond to the variety of households that we can find in today's society. So as there are many ways, of course, of doing this kind of X rooms we have explained. We have analyzed all our projects and our floor plans, and we have divided it into 5 different typologies that we have called regular, slided, joint, multi-sided, and cellular. We'll start from this first one, regular. And we have picked a project we have done recently. It's a competition in Mallorca, in which we approach this really clear regular grid of 4 identical rooms. And this was things that we concentrate all these smaller rooms, the bathroom, the laundry room, and the access in this thick stripe that is facing the exterior corridor. So we could have these equal size rooms related by their intersection in the middle by having these empty corners, let's say, with slided doors, that also, as it happens in our studio, depending on the position of the doors, they can really create like a space itself, like a crossing space, or create more independent cells. Also, as we can see in this image, when doors are open, we can have like a really open diagonal and bring light to the center of the dwelling, and in large views that in social housing with minimum size, it's really necessary. If you take a look to the typical plan, well, you can see that the dwellings are really similar to each other. We have the 2-bedroom typology and a single bedroom typology, just subtracting one of the cells. And we decided to put the staircases and elevators inside this signet stripe in the perimeter. So when we put the staircases, there's like this kind of movement that creates this setback and this segregated facade that accomplishes like a more broken volume and a more smaller scale. The second example and second typology, that is called slide. We have picked this competition we made for IVABI in Ibiza. Actually, the name in Spanish is the sleeve, that it's the meaning of slide. The difference from if we compare it to the regular, is that the stripe walls are not aligned anymore. So there's more like a diagonal connections in between rooms. And also we kind of enlarge diagonally and from this entrance to the exterior facade. And also here, we can see that we have 2 different stripes, one facing the exterior corridor, and another one that holds the bathroom, the laundry room, but also a winter garden that is like a secondary circulation that enables the inhabitants not just move crossing rooms, but also crossing this winter garden. That besides, it helps to reduce the energy demand of the building. It's really simple to have different typologies, just adding a room more in this kind of grid. So we have the 2-bedroom typology, the 3-bedroom typology, and so on. And this aggregation creates this typical plan that has this really clean grid that is not so regular, but it's like, with these slides creates these diagonals. And we have these 2 thick stripes, one in the perimeter that creates this thermal buffer, and then this interior thick stripe that is related to the circulation and with the staircase and an elevator. The third typology is called joint, and we have taken this example of this. This was the first competition we made actually in Cierto Estudio in 2015, and we have a special mention. And in this case, we introduced like a second order, like a minor scale element in between the equal rooms that is called intersection in Spanish, rótula, that articulates these rooms in between. Also in this project, we create this thick wall in which we put all the program and the supplies. So the inhabitant can change really easily the program of the rooms that are liberated from the furniture and the equipment just by changing the furniture and in a very easy way. Also in this project, we explore how the dwelling can grow or decrease depending on the needs. So it's not just about moving the distribution like in the past examples, but also it can grow and decrease. I have to say that this project was really theoretical because it was like it had no plot. So it was like a very funny way to explore these concepts without being like reality. No? So this is another typology, subtracting rooms, and we could have like a series of typology depending on the relations we have and the intersections. And also the dwelling is not, there are like 2 possibilities of growing the house. One is adding a cell that is next to it and just opening a door in between, or also in section introducing a staircase. But also we can have like a more segregated home just by adding a satellite room that it's not just next to the dwelling, but it's in another part of the building. And it could be like a collective kitchen or a satellite room for the teenage kid or whatever the inhabitants need. And the result is that really like this infinite and really homogeneous grid that has an open possibility of different dwellings depending on the needs and different typologies. Then this typology called multi-sided. In this case, we abandon this kind of rectangular or square shape to introduce this multi-sided room in the middle of the dwelling that helps us to have more connections with the surrounding rooms. It's just because a multi-sided room they can have more doors, so more connections. So this was social housing, and we found that it was really important to have this circulation across the rooms to have this porosity and enlarge the sensation of the dwelling that was really, really small. And well, in this case, it differs a lot from last project because it's not about the aggregation of rooms, but it's about the aggregation of typology units that are all the same and rotated, and with symmetry, we create the whole typical plan. It's really important for us that when there are like more complex geometries, to systematize a lot and have like a very kind of repetition system to demonstrate that it's easy to build and it's not that complex. And in this last example of cellular room, of X rooms, that is called cellular, is like the extreme example. As sorry, it's a competition we made in Saint Just d'Asbern, and what's interesting and also complex about this plan is that it's all made of. There are only two different typologies. One is the 3-bedroom typology that is in the two corners, and another one is the 2-bedroom typology that is in the middle, sorry, here, the yellow one and the green one. Then rotated and with symmetry, they create the whole plan. So the result is like this rigorous labyrinth of rooms that have like these vanished boundaries that are here drawn in a more strong line. And we took really seriously that each typology should have the same repetition of sequence of rooms. So here in the left, we have this sequence that is all the same in diagonal. That is this entrance gallery, the kitchen, bathroom, and then the winter garden. And in the 2-bedroom typology, it becomes the bedroom. So the function is not so important, but it's the important part is more the shape. Like in this case on the right, where there's this other sequence where we don't even draw the furniture because it could have like any program the inhabitant needs. It's not defined. If we zoom in the typology, we can see that all the rooms are multi-sided except for the bathroom. So they have many doors that connect them to all the adjacent rooms. Even the bathroom has 2 doors. So all the sensation of the house is full of diagonals and relations between rooms and full of possibilities of different circulations, of different adaptations of the same layout. So the second chapter is called Perspective, and it's about the visual connections as a resource to enrich the space. We have organized it in 3 different parts: the diagonal, porosity, and frame. The diagonal is something we always search in each plan. And we have taken this example of La Comunitat Habitacional, that is the project we won for Ia Glorias. As I said, we are starting to building it in the end of the year. And it's really clear in this diagram that we created this sequence of 45 degrees rotated cells, in which we have the kitchen, the toilet with this distributor, and the winter garden in here on the other side. So we kind of relate the 2 facades of the dwelling, and we have this clear diagonal across the dwelling that helps us to enlarge views and relate the rooms in this way. And also we relate the 2 facades that one is facing the exterior corridor and the other one is facing the exterior of the city on Plaza Las Glorias. In this section, we wanted to show different activities that are being held inside the house in this diagonal. This second concept is called porosity, and we have chosen this refurbishment we made. We call it Casa Plácido. That it was a really small house in Las Planas, sorry. This was the original distribution of the house. So it has this main core room with a really centripetal character. So we wanted to maintain that centripetal character, but regulating the size of these perimeter rooms that are really small to be used. So the proposal, it's also important that it has 2 different roofs. One is a gable roof that is here in this space. And another one, as it was an extension, it's a flat roof that is here in the perimeter. So because of that, we decided to have this main room, the singular one, the kitchen and the dining room inside this gable roof, and have other smaller rooms having this centripetal aspect surrounding this main part. And another strategy was to open the visuals and open the like interior windows in the perimeter of the house, so we could have this porosity inside the house and relate one room to another one. Even we made furniture cross between rooms, so the feeling is like one room merged to the other. So it's like some kind of contagious situation that everything is connected in a way. Also, it helps enlarging the views across the facade and participate from other windows that are not part of the room, but part of the adjacent room. And for the last concept of perspectives, we are showing this house we are now finishing to build in Menorca called Calosei. And in this case, the landscape was so important because it's located in an amazing site towards the sea, and the landscape is really beautiful. So the most important thing to us was to obtain these particular views that we wanted. So because of that, in the end, we had like 3 main directions, and these 3 directions give shape to all the rooms and also the terraces. So in the end, what we wanted was to have a house designed to have really framed views and specific views that were like really carefully studied with a model we made, like really with a very large scale to be sure of that we had these specific views to the sea. Sometimes we wanted some privacy, for example, from the neighbors, and we wanted to like the strategy was to put like a wall that creates this privacy, and sometimes we wanted the house to be open to the views.
Now we are more or less in the middle of the presentation, and I'll continue with these 3 more concepts: kitchen room, filter space, and urban community. So kitchen room is sort of a license that we do of the word kitchen. If we look at the etymology sense of the word, it comes from the Latin word cocere, which means to cook. And what we indicate is that probably nowadays the kitchen is not just a space to cook, and it also happens other activities in this kind of space. If we look back at the history, the kitchen was a server space usually used by female figures, and it didn't have the light conditions and the ventilation conditions as other more important rooms of the house or the dwelling, like the dining room or the living room or the bedrooms. Later on, with the American way of life, the household appliance revolution opened those spaces to show off the technology that it was brand new, no? And usually the housewives were using more those spaces. But nowadays, as I was saying, at least in the cities, because the surface is very expensive and we enjoy, you know, social life. Probably the kitchens are places where occur more things, not just cooking, but also talking or even working, or apart from eating, and you know, also studying or other sort of activities. So in our project, we were working on this concept, and we'll show how we put in practice these new uses of the kitchen. For example, in this refurbishment in a modernist flat in Barcelona, the kitchen, which is located here, is just another chamber of the dwelling. So here we change the distribution, and we arrange this cross to make 4 equivalent spaces to have the dining room, the living room, a space to collect the vinyls of our clients who has an extensive collection, and the kitchen. We also open this new opening so we can have more natural light and ventilation in those interior spaces where before there were like very tiny rooms without natural light and with no ventilation at all. And here there's the main gallery of the flat from where the natural light comes from. As we can see in the images, we open those spaces, and we treated the same way the furniture from the kitchen to the other main rooms of the dwelling, as the shelves, for example. In this case, we also designed the circular piece of furniture connecting all the rooms. We use this steel structure in cream color combined with wood to make the doors and the shelves in the other case. In this other example, which is the project that brings the word kids room, it's the title that we gave to the competition we won, as Platon said in Magno. The kitchen is the central room of the dwelling, so it occupies, as I said, a central position in the flat, and it's not only to cook and to eat, but also to circulate all around the space. So from this room, you can go through all the other spaces of that dwelling. For example, in this axonometry, we can see the sort of relation that this central room gives to the other spaces of the flat. And here again, we were trying to look the flat bigger and working with these diagonals and bringing the natural light to the interior, deeper inside the flat, and to this kitchen as well. This is the image that we imagine thinking about this space, for example. In this other example that we called insular, the kitchen is looking for more space, again for more light, and also for a different character, like a presence and a more aesthetic element. And here we open again the kitchen, and we were working this circular connection, and then this piece of furniture appeared, trying to occupy not only the kitchen but also the dining room. And in this case, for example, we use the color also to give some identity to that piece of furniture. Filter space. Looking back at the history again, we see that the vernacular architecture try to solve the climate problems with passive strategies. Sometime after, the energy waste and the technology revolution solves that energy problems and comfort problems with a lot of machines. But nowadays, we think that we should combine the knowledge of the vernacular architecture, but also taking advantage of the technology evolution and propose more innovative strategies and systems to get a better comfort in the interior spaces. So sometimes we convert this climate strategy or this climate comfort in a project strategy. No? For example, in this project that Anna was explaining before in Mallorca, we were working a dual strategy depending on the north facade or the south one. Here in the north facade, we located the vertical circulation, working as a sort of a filter. And as we can see here in the floor plan, there was this part where the circulation was located, and also these other rooms where the bathroom and the entrances were first, and the dwellings were like more separated of these north facade. Meanwhile, in the other facade, we were working with these balconies and solar protection, giving to the building this Mediterranean look, and making the evidence that the exterior space is also usable in lots of months, at least here in the Mediterranean. In this project, which is all in the exterior, it's in a rooftop in Barcelona, we also were working these filters between the interior space and the exterior space, building this sort of glass house and these vegetable pergolas, working on the transition and generating different climate conditions. So here the vegetation was one of the key elements, but again here in this image we can see the sequence of the exterior and the interior, and how we have 2 or 3 different spaces and different conditions from inside to outside. So in winter it would be quite nice to be here, because without any heating, the temperature would be okay. And in summer, we should open all the windows and ventilate the space. And thanks to the shelter of the pergola, we would be okay doing any activity here. And also here in the sofa, we add this vegetal pergola again, and here it was not grown yet, but we were trying to have this natural shelter and also to protect the views and have more intimacy from the neighbors. The last concept of this filter space part is the gallery row. For example, in this project that also Anna was explaining before, we propose these sort of spaces that can be completely closed or more open and be used more as a balcony, that its own use can change during the different periods of the year. And finally, the urban community. In the medieval history, the streets were very narrow and not healthy at all. And fortunately, we moved forward to kind of the infrastructure full of mobility and full of connections. But nowadays, the contemporary street is probably taking back the main paper to the inhabitants of the city, and also to the green part and the trees. No? So now the cities are trying to pacify most of the streets and make them more comfortable for the pedestrians. In addition, the buildings have the responsibility to give an answer to the city with their ground floor or their facade, or also with their common spaces. No? We have the examples, for example, of the Haussmann corridors in Paris, or the corridors in the Rodolfo Gardens of Alison Peter Smithson, or the use of the rooftop as a common space, for example, in the Walden building here in St. Joseph Bay. So we think that it's very important to work this relation between the public space and the private space, working on the common space, and to make the cities better, but also to make the people living in those buildings happier, actually. And for example, in the project of Las Glorias, we, as Platon and Anna were saying, we were working on the urbanism of the whole block, and we proposed this public passage in the middle of the buildings between this brand new market in Barcelona and this principal avenue of the city, Avenida Diagonal. So that was a proposal that was not on the competition, but we thought it was important because of the size of the building to divide it in two and offer to the city some more public space in between that new building. In addition, the access to the dwellings, it's made inside these common corridors, and so from that space you can go to the vertical circulation of the building, not directly from the street. So it's like a first filter of the building, and that vertical circulation could bring you to your own flat or to the rooftop, where there are also shared spaces where you can stay or do wherever you want to go. For example, in these diagrams, we try to explain the relation between the ground floor and the interior space of the patio, and work from the ground floor to the rooftop, this gradient of different common spaces, you know, and the transition between the public and the private space. This is the image and the atmosphere we were imagining in these corridors and in these patios, in the interior life, you know, people bringing out their tables and having a coffee or just talking or walking through these spaces. And this is the exterior image. And I didn't mention it, but the competition was won by 4 different architecture studios. So we decided the urban plan, but after all, we were just developing one of those 4 buildings. But it's all one community. In this other example, which is now the project Kitsch Room again, it was a key decision how to sort the different levels of the different ground floors. In this case, there are 3 different axes at 3 different levels, and the position of the staircase was really strategic because there's just one, and it's in the very middle, and you can take it from the main axis, which is the one located in the middle level in the pedestrian square, but also from the upper level here in this street, where the common patio of the building is located in that level. And then there's another connection underneath for the cars to the basement, but also for pedestrians if they want. This is the elevation and the look from the square, and we had the willing to grow the facade because it was really long, and we thought that it was important to work with these 2 kind of balconies or loggias, one more open and the other more kind of closed, to give to the building this image, not so long. And the ground floor is like a portico. This is an image from the interior where we can see the common patio and the shared corridor, and also these first filters before the private interior space that each neighbor has in front of their dwelling. These were a work in progress image, and fortunately it will start the site next October. And finally, the very last competition that we won just last March here in Barcelona. It's not about building, it's about urbanism, and it's to rethink some of the streets of the neighborhood Eixample here in Barcelona, the great neighborhood. And they will be mainly pedestrians, and we were working the vegetation as well in 4 levels. The bigger trees are the existing ones. Then there was this other, the other scale of this new trees to give to the street more shelter and a new scale, probably not for the cars only, but also for the people. And then there were these planters in the 3rd level, and finally on the floor we had like a green joint between the pavement. Here we see a part the plan more in detail, we were working mainly to add more trees and locate the rest areas in between. And the main goal is to recuperate the center of the street to walk. It wouldn't be anymore for the cars, but for the citizens and for the people. No? So you would have another perspective of the city, and also the activities on the ground floors could come outside and appropriate part of the street, because the people would mainly walk through the middle of this area. The yellow spots represent the light here on the section. We can see them hanging on those cables to change the atmosphere of these streets. Now trying to bring the light more down and closer to the people and to the activities that they are doing. We were also proposing that the buildings, depending on their use, would have sort of different kind of doormats, let's say, but obviously with the urban pavement and the exterior pavement, but try to extend the activity from the interior to the exterior and give to them a space in the street to where things could occur. And finally, this is the image that we were showing in the competition, and this new atmosphere in a street that nowadays is full of cars and pollution. That was all, and finally we want to finish with a video of one of the refurbishments that we were talking about, and it was a video that we present to the Simon Architecture Prize, and it was finalist last year in 2020. So enjoy.
This is Europe, the old Europe. And this is Bernat Guterres. Despite being from a small coastal village in Catalonia, Bernat is convinced he's from a mining town in Lancashire, UK. Weird, right? This is the Modster's Den, 153 square meters of stylistic inconsistencies, two worlds fighting to conquer each other. This is mod. This is Catalan modernism, mod. Modernism again, mod. Modernism, mod. That's a weird mix. And that's just a very expensive penis. Both Bernat's apartment and his brain are divided in 4 parts. His greatest weaknesses: Brit music, Brit literature, Brit football,
His first home goal for West Ham United. And back came Zimmer. What a finish!
and finally, Brit cuisine. Smells good. Wait, is that a pizza? Oh, British pizza. I get it. This apartment really... Are you going to pick that up? Thanks, mate. Well, as I was saying, in this apartment. Oh, for fuck's sake! I think we're done here. Good luck, Lost Mod. Good night, Europe.
We had the luck that the inhabitant of the flat is a researcher and art director, and he's an authentic mod. So it was kind of funny and easy to make this piece.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This was a fantastic lecture with an amazing end as well. I would like to open the floor for questions if we do have a bit of time. So, please, whoever has a question, I think you just have to unmute yourselves and ask. Okay. Anyone? Anyone wants to ask a question? Okay, maybe I will.
Everything very clear, no? Maybe our language.
Maybe I will ask one just to break the ice. I think it was an incredibly clear presentation. Also, was somehow organized as a pedagogical project. So you were actually going through really very important aspects and stages of the project. You have spent a lot of time organizing your own thinking and your own process, which it's always, it's not just impressive, but also it's requires a bit of courage, right? Because you're actually exposing the practice, exposing the projects in ways which is not necessarily common. We often just present the project saying, what we did and, decisions, but this was a more kind of a really, really beautiful overview of the ethos of the practice and the ethos of the project that the practice is doing. So I would like to ask a question more about references in the work. So, the kind of things that you look at when you're developing projects and kind of, let's say, framework that you, theoretical, historic framework that you are somehow related with. Thank you.
But I don't know if I understood the question. You mean references or?
References, yeah. No?
There's an incredible clarity in the projects. Also the way they are presented, but also I can see many, references in the work as well. Like many ideas that they're coming from, kind of radical critique of the movement, or gender studies, very contemporary also practices. So I'm just, wondering if you could say a few words about this element of the work.
I think that in collective housing, especially, we took a lot of reference from the books of Xavier Monteys that are more theoretical, but are really help us to build our speech and some of the strategies, like Casa Collage or L'Habitation. Well, he was one of our teachers in school, so we learned a lot from him in these aspects of having this ambiguous room, of approaching this flexibility inside the house, and so on. And also, we also take a look to a lot of reference from the past, because this is not new. We haven't invented anything, so we look a lot to this Caccia Dominioni plans, for example, or
I was thinking in the 60s and 70s architecture, mainly Spanish, like Estudio Per or
Tusquets,
but also more modern references, no? And internationally, as you said, Platon, like Sergi Sambage, or even Peter Zumthor, or I don't know, like Millet Vintaye, or office, like I don't know, like so many. But yeah, we kind of receive inputs of very different sources as well. Not only architecture, I think also art and cinema probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also interested in maybe more actually because I mean the work is full of references from popular culture, cinema, movies. I mean, which is it's that makes it also really fresh and contemporary in a way. I mean, it's there. Almost like also the film that you saw at the end, it was actually, full of this playful and but also very kind of political nature of the project. So, but yeah.
At the moment for us, it's quite natural. I mean, it's quite natural, no? Because also it's 6 of us, and each of us has their own personal interests that enriches the dialogue and the project discussions as well. So it's one of our strongness, I think. We do these weekly workshops where we present the project and we share out loud the ideas or the things that we concern about the project, and that's like that moment, is like the boiling, the boiling,
the boiling point of the project,
and it's quite natural for us at the moment. I don't know, maybe if in 20 years we are still here, we will work differently, but nowadays it's like, yeah.
Can I will ask a second question, which I'm really interested also, which is the role of the site or the context, right? So the role that the city of Barcelona or the regional context of Catalonia plays. I mean, I'm saying it as not as a system of references, but also as a possibilities for the practice. What does it mean for you to be local there? What does it mean for you to practice there? You spoke a lot about crisis, and our generation in the south of Europe had, really was heavily challenged by the economic problems, and especially in the construction sector as well. So there's a lot to say about the role of the last decade, even more in the formation of practices, young practices in Europe, and the role of also of the particular politics of the city of Barcelona and the particular interests and possibilities. So and I think again, knowing your work very well, and you as well, I think it's something that really has really defined the work. the decision to stay there, the decision to practice there, the decision to do specific type of competitions, as a lot of housing is also there, But that's also relates with the particular moment and context in a way, right? Or not?
Yeah, I think that in the School of Barcelona, they teach us a lot to make a lot of analysis of the site and to get very impregnate of the surroundings. So all the projects always take a look to what's happening on the surroundings and how does it influence the building. And so that's a very important part, I think, in every project. And I think it's common in all the usual practices in Barcelona and in the studios. And I think that something that also connects each other is that now with the economic crisis and everything, we are really used to find resources to build really cheap. No, it's like there are a lot of practices now, like architectas or data that have found there like something like that particular from them, that is like building, like taking a lot of interest in the construction and showing the materials as not hiding them but showing them as they are. And so of course this kind of construction is always really
reclutamiento
like to be I think someone has the microphone on and like to build in a very honest way. Not, I don't know if it's not maybe our case. I would not say that we are in this line of showing this material honesty, but I think we are all in line when we have to like think about strategies of how to build in a very cheap way, but with great quality also.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the crisis, and it's true, it was there, and it lasted for so many years. But fortunately or unfortunately, we were not there before, so we didn't notice the change. We just, as Anna said in the presentation, started probably in a really bad time, but. So for that reason, the few public competitions that were there, we really thought that we had to do it. Also because it's a field where allows to a little bit of more innovation and creatively is more kind of free. More than the private sector. And in the private sector, at that time, it was harder to achieve, to have projects. The last years has been changing, at least here in Spain, and we had the opportunity to slowly grow just a little. But yeah, as Anna said, probably a previous generation of us, the context was it's kind of remarkable in their architecture, I think. It's also an evidence, I think, that we have now this mayor in Barcelona that luckily is having these goals in terms of the city and in terms of public housing as well, and we are kind of aligned somehow in the ideas, and in how the architecture and the urbanism has to be in the present, but we'll see, if we are able to be there in some more time.
Great.
I don't know if we have answered you more or less.
I think you did very well. Anyone from the audience? Does anyone want to ask a question? No? Anyone?
I had a quick question.
Sure. Carol? Yeah?
Carol, yes.
Yeah, great. Hi.
Hi, great lecture. Thank you so much. I had a question about the use of doors and if you had considered like a hierarchy of doors in a way. Like it seems like there's the sliding typology, but also the swing typology. And if there's any, I also kind of draw reference to potentially Japanese houses in terms of the use of that flexible floor plan and door typology. So I just was wondering if there's any connection there. Thank you.
Do you mean the type of doors or that change the?
Or if there's a reason to use specific doors in certain instances, like the sliding pocket door versus a door that has a hinge and pivots, if that contributes to the kind of quality of space.
Yeah, it's something that we paid a lot of attention because we think that the design of doors strictly changed the relation between space. As you said, like the Japanese houses, it's like a very strong reference to us. As with the sliding doors, they can make like this partition completely disappear or completely separate two spaces. And also in Caccia Dominione's work, we can see that also doors, sometimes they are like super tall, like occupying all the dividing wall. And so they make this partition like really, this opening really fluent, or sometimes he introduces like an opening on the top of the door, like a window, like a circular window or so. So you create like this double connection. The one is the door and the other one is like the top window that enlarges this sensation of the ceiling. So yeah, we are particularly interested in not doing like, we always try in refurbishments and well, in competitions is sometimes more difficult because they have not so much money, so you cannot introduce particular designs from doors, but especially in refurbishments, we always try to design doors specifically. Like in our studio, they are all like with this blurred glass, so you cannot see directly what's happening next to you, but you have like this intuition and you can see lights and shapes, but not completely the activity that is being held next to you. And also as they can be completely open. So as I said before, it can like convert the space to be like a really open and unique and fluid space, or be like now that it's like the gallery is on a space itself and like to have more privacy. So it's a really interesting and simple strategy to use to have more flexibility.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol, for the question. Anyone else from the audience?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Michael.
So
Yes.
what is the architecture professor you're referring to? Who is this?
Xavier Montes? You mean, no? Xavier Montes?
Montes?
You can write it down on the chat, maybe.
Ah, yes. Write it down in the chat. Please.
Yeah.
There's no chat function in the. There's no
There's no chat function.
No,
Write it down and hold it up to the screen.
Maybe I can share.
Maybe share your screen and write it on the.
Yeah, we can share the screen.
Exactly.
Like we used to do.
Now, actually, he has written a new book now that it's about the garden and the house, and it's really interesting also. And this is, yeah, these are the books, Casa Collage, La Habitación. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about the translation. No, I don't know.
But
maybe.
anyway, it has an investigation department in the university, and it was the tutor of the thesis of Anna Pujane, Kitchenless, and she was kind of working with him like really close, and it's like a group of people who theoretically are very, very, very important, very powerful.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Do we have any more questions from the audience? I think there's time for one more, if someone is.
Hello. May I ask a question?
Ali? Yes, of course.
Speaking.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you so much for an incredible presentation. I'm based in Canada, and I have a question about your cellularized floor plans that have a lot of angles. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me very well. Is it okay? But you mentioned the flexibility and how you have to have repetitions in your floor plan to prove that they can be built and to simplify construction.
I couldn't hear well.
No, I hardly can hear you. Can you hear her well, Laton?
I can. I will text a friend the question. 1 second. Thank you.
But we can hear you well. Maybe you want to try one more time? I can hear you well.
No.
Sure. Maybe you could pass along the question.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to ask about, in Spain, is there a practice of working with the picking the contractor or the builder and working with those very complex geometries?
Yeah.
And how that process might happen?
Yeah. So is there a specific process in Spain that you can pick up the contractor? I guess in public projects, that's the question, right? Because in private projects, you will pick it up.
Well, in multi-unit residential buildings.
Yeah, Okay, so can you pick the contractor that will build these projects, the public housing projects, and are they trained to do all these kind of complex geometries and solutions that you are proposing?
The constructor is chosen with another public process.
It's a tender, right? There's a tender.
Yeah. So we cannot do absolutely nothing about the election of the constructor. And actually, the thing is that we've been working for 5 years now, and we've been doing a lot of interior refurbishments and projects, but it will not be until next October that we will start our first collective building. So we still don't have the experience to deal with these constructors and the geometries. But hopefully we are optimistic and we'll find good professionals. But yeah, it's one of the issues probably, not the execution.
Well, in Gloria's, the structure is made by wood, by CLT panels, and well, as everything is prefabricated and it's like designed before the construction, like before being taken to the construction site, I think it would be easier to that there are no mistakes because everything is like really exact and precise.
Nowadays here, the public organization make sure that you do the executive project in the BIM software. So I think it also will anticipate problems on site, and hopefully it will be fine. But yeah, we still don't know it.
We'll see next year what happened.
We will have to talk in 1 or 2 years and get back to this question again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just one more question, maybe? If not, no? Okay.
Hi, can you hear
Nicoletta.
me?
Yes, of course.
Yes, thank you very much for the lecture. It was very, very interesting. And I happened to watch recently a lecture also by Anna I'm sorry, I don't know. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. And she was also talking about this issue of like the crisis of nuclear family houses that happened during the previous economical crisis. And I was wondering if like this coronavirus crisis also affects somehow your practice right now and the things that you're doing.
I think actually what the actual context affects more to the general, I mean the mass, no, more probably more than that. I think people now is prioritizing, that makes sense, values that we were already reivindicating, no, before, like exterior space or common space in buildings or natural light in as many rooms as you can, also the kitchen or even the bathroom, or so because we started to spend more time at our homes, people just realize that homes are a very important place in their life. No? They are not spending the whole day working in their office anymore or staying outside all the time. And for us, was not especially a change of reflection, but more like an affirmation of in what we believe is at least contemporary and are like present concepts that are valid. Also, the introduction of the nature somehow in the cities, is now like an evidence that we all need that for our health, for our climate emergency and our mental health and climate comfort, of course. I mean, all of that things, that we were mentioning are like now more in value, I think.
Yeah, it's like a reaffirmation of something that we already have in mind and worked in every project, but now it's like really clear that it must be like put in value.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should wrap it up. It was an amazing evening, really inspiring, and really interesting for all of us at TAA. And I really want to thank you for this. And I'm sure we will have many more opportunities to meet and discuss and work together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Platon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you, everyone.